All right, live stream. A lot of sexual assault allegations going around. Going to talk about the latest ones, although they may already not even be the latest. These are from a few hours ago. Minnesota Democratic Senator Al Franken accused of impropriety. And I think that this will be a good opportunity to sort of maybe have a broader conversation about some of these allegations. And so first let's start with Al Franken. Al Franken was accused by Leanne Tweeden of actions that he took during a USO tour in 2006 to entertain troops. And as she told the story, Franken forcibly kissed her and then was in a picture seeming to grope her breasts over some kind of or at least where her breast would be, behind what looked like some kind of an army vest, protective vest of some kind, while she was sleeping. And there's a photograph of that's out. Al Franken immediately responded saying, "I don't remember the rehearsal for the skit the same way," the rehearsal being where Al Franken is accused of forcibly kissing Leanne Tweeden, "but I send my sincerest apologies to Leanne. As to the photo, it was clearly intended to be funny, but it wasn't. I shouldn't have done it." And Al Franken supports the incident being sent to the Senate Ethics Committee, which apparently is going to happen. We will see ultimately what happens there and what comes of that. And in addition to this, Leanne Tweeden has accepted Al Franken's apology. She says, "The apology, sure, I accept it. Yes, people make mistakes. And of course, he knew he made a mistake. So yes, I do accept that apology. There's no reason why I shouldn't accept his apology. People make mistakes. I'm not calling for him to step down. That's not my place to say that." So this is, listen, let's go through this in pieces, right? Number one, for those people who were saying I was never going to talk about this, I talk about all these stories, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat that's accused of this, that, or the other thing. I talk about it. I have a long history of talking about it, and I don't think that there's any period. I don't think I have to say anything else about that. I think that there are some differences between all of these recent cases, right? So we never want to write off any particular incident of sexual assault, groping, impropriety, or whatever. We never want to write it off as not important or irrelevant in any way. But we also do need to realize that the Bill Cosby situation is different than Louis C.K., is different than Roy Moore, is different than Al Franken, whatever. Here we have in Al Franken a reaction that is different from the reactions we've seen from others, which is to say, what I did was wrong. And in addition to that, supporting an investigation into what he did and letting those in charge of that ethics committee decide ultimately what his fate will be. The other difference I see is that the person in question here has accepted Al Franken's apology, and the dynamics of that also appear to be different than some of these other incidents that we've seen, which of course, none of these are excuses for what Al Franken did. There is no excuse for what Al Franken did, and he seems to be clear in saying that there is no excuse, and he's not making any excuse. So we will see what ultimately happens, and there's another element to this, which is if and how this will impact the Alabama Senate race of Roy Moore, because what we've seen happen there, Al Franken is a sitting senator. Roy Moore wants to be a senator. And we can speculate about what might happen if Roy Moore wins that Alabama election, despite being accused now by 6 women of a broad range of very strange behavior and possibly illegal behavior in some cases. We've heard from Mitch McConnell that there's the possibility of not seating Roy Moore, expelling him from the Senate if he were to win. But that's all hypothetical, and quite frankly, I don't know that Republicans are actually going to do that. On the other hand, in Al Franken, we have someone who is a senator right now, and that does create a different scenario, and there can be an investigation of the sitting senator, and we will see what ultimately happens. Listen, Al Franken's politics, Anthony Weiner's politics, I agree with them. Doesn't mean I defend any actions that they took. And with Anthony Weiner in particular, you would hear allegations from some on the right that, oh, look at Democrats defending Anthony Weiner for the same type of behavior that they criticize Republicans for doing. I didn't see any Democrats defending Anthony Weiner. I saw them mostly say, I either agreed or disagreed with his politics, or I thought he was a good debater or a bad debater or whatever. And what he did was absolutely and totally deplorable, period. And the guy doesn't deserve to hold public office as a result. So don't fall for the talking points, because it's really important to point out double standards when they exist. But it's also important to identify when someone is alleging a double standard and there actually isn't one, right? So don't fall for that. And we'll see what ultimately happens with Al Franken. I'd be interested in hearing through the super chat if people feel strongly one way or the other about what they think is going to happen with Al Franken. And on that note, before we continue talking about it, let me welcome everybody who's with us to the live stream. If it's your first live stream, the coolest thing about the live streams is that they're live, as the name suggests. You can send me questions or comments. I'll read them, react, answer them if it's a question, respond if it's a comment, through Super Chat and through Streamlabs. Super Chat is the $ towards the bottom of the YouTube chat dialogue, and streamlabs.com/The David Pakman Show is an alternative to Super Chat, which we get more of the money when you use Streamlabs. YouTube, I believe, takes 30%, and Streamlabs, I think, takes like 3%. So we get more of the money. Number 3, new members and patrons during the live stream will get thank yous. Patreon, I believe, is down for maintenance. I was getting emails from people saying they were trying to pledge on Patreon and that it was down for a scheduled maintenance. So you may not be able to do that. But very exciting news when it comes to membership. We've had this Jenga thing going on in the studio for more than a week now. And the gist was as follows. For every 2 Patreon contributions, I would make 1 Jenga move. And then when the tower ultimately fell, we would just double the number of moves I was able to make and create a coupon code based on that. So if I was able to make 15 moves, we would come up with a 30% membership discount code. I was able to make 29 moves before the tower ultimately fell today, and this is mid-fall from today's broadcast program. I think this clip is going live on YouTube soon. Members already would have seen it. 29 moves I was able to make. So we set up the coupon code JENGA58, JENGA 58, and I put it down in the description for the live stream, and it's there. And you can use that if you want. 58% off, which is really a pretty damn good deal. And you will still get just as emphatic of a thank you from me if you use the Jenga58 coupon code. And by the way, the first thing I would watch if you become a member is today's full broadcast show, which we upload around 4 o'clock for all of our members. The tower falling, the Jenga tower falling, it's quite a moment. It's very, very loud. It startles me. Pat was actually almost in tears. And everybody was really surprised and taken aback. So that's going on anyway, and we'll do some thank yous a little bit later. Also, the David Pakman Show is now on Steemit. Steemit is a very cool platform that is blockchain based, and the great thing about Steemit is many of you know that we've been struggling since March 31st because of this YouTube demonetization thing. Steemit is almost like Reddit, but people earn money based on upvotes. So you don't have to spend any money on Steemit, but if you go to steemit.com/@David Pakman, link is in the description, you can just upvote our content and we earn money as a result of that. So it's building quickly. We're already at almost 1,000 subscribers after only a week there. And it is a cool thing. So check that out, steemit.com/@David Pakman Show. If you have any question about how to spell it, just check in the description because I am linking to it right there. Okay, back to the Al Franken story. Listen, the most curious thing that I think it exists here, because it's another allegation against someone in a position of power, is if this will impact the Roy Moore election. And there's one poll that has Roy Moore down 12, one poll that has Roy Moore up 2. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with the polling, maybe to create complacency among Democrats so that they just won't vote in Alabama. I don't know the answer. But it would be a disaster if Alabama voters decided to vote for Roy Moore because Al Franken is accused of something, because really you have to evaluate Roy Moore on his merits, right? And I already can see a situation where there's going to be an impact here. And I'm against the oppression Olympics, and I'm against the ranking of sexual assault allegations, but there is no question that what Roy Moore is accused of is on a completely different is in a completely different universe than what it is that Al Franken has said he participated in, again, which he's apologized for, and Leanne Tweeden has accepted the apology for, right? It's not a defense. It's drawing a very clear distinction. In the same way that forcible rape is different than verbally saying something to a woman as she walks by, neither is good. We're not celebrating either, but we do recognize that not all of these incidents are the same, and I think that it is important to do that. Let me go to, we're starting to get questions and comments rolling in. Let me see where I want to start. Well, let's start with Super Chat. Facts Knight has sent a $5 Super Chat asking, have I thought about trying to upload on YouTube alternatives like VidMe and BitChute? We looked at VidMe. We were on VidMe for a little bit, and we're currently sort of like on a hiatus from VidMe, I guess I would say. I would consider going back there, maybe. There's a lot of different things going on with their platform. BitChute I'm not familiar with, but we are now, we are putting all of our content, or a lot of it, on Steemit. That's the one we're using. STEEMIT @David Pakman. And you can check that out there. And I think that it is something you will enjoy. I think that that will be a good thing. And speaking of things you will enjoy, I went back on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. And this is this whacked out show that exists on Newsmax, and I guess it's a radio show as well. And I was on a while ago. And the first time I was on, it was an absolute and total disaster, but I did take the interview seriously because I thought, I take every interview seriously, and I've been invited. However, they've been bugging me to go back on for some time, and I went back on yesterday, and I effectively got myself kicked off. I don't really know how else I can describe it, but I took it seriously insofar as, I showed up on time, and that was it. But Jesse Lee Peterson kicked me off, and we've uploaded that interview. It's on our YouTube channel. You can check it out now. You can check it out after the live stream is over. I was scheduled to be on about 20 minutes, and it ended up going, I think, like 7 minutes, because Jesse Lee Peterson was so displeased with how I was communicating with him during the interview. It is absolutely hilarious, and we included in the clip that's up on YouTube, after I get kicked off of Newsmax TV by Jesse Lee Peterson yesterday, he and his producer start having a conversation, and it's very clear that his producer does not see me as bad of a guy as Jesse Lee Peterson sees me, and they seem to be getting into this weird back and forth. Someone tweeted me that they wouldn't be surprised to see Jesse Lee Peterson fire his producer over those disagreements. I don't think that'll happen, but it is very, very, very funny. So check that out. I had put aside a half hour because they told me we need 20 minutes, and I always allot a little bit of extra time. And after just a mere 7 minutes, he kicked me off, and it was absolutely everything that I could have imagined it could be. Okay, let me go through some of the different questions that are popping up in the regular chat. I don't want to do this elitist thing where I will only answer questions and read comments from the paid Super Chat and Streamlabs. Let's see what questions people have here. Let's see. Someone's saying they'd be okay with me sexually assaulting them. Well, I would never do that. She was faking asleep, the woman in the picture. Yeah, there's people saying that in the picture that Al Franken, that has been released of Al Franken, that Al Franken is not actually making physical contact with the woman's breasts, and that there are rumors that she was pretending to be asleep. Listen, no one's denying that it is the way it's being reported. Al Franken has apologized, and Leanne Tweeden has accepted the apology. So I don't know how much we need to really dig into that. Let's see. Someone asking if I'm gay. I am not gay. Not that there would be anything wrong with that. What else do we have here? I guess there's someone, Jocular Jellyfish, who was already banned but seems to be back. Not sure how that works, but that person is really annoying. And congratulations to Lauren Thomas, our great moderator, for getting another what would we call it? Another swipe in the bedpost, so to speak. Another notch in the old belt with another solid ban. Aaron Davis is asking whether I know what's going on with the drunken peasants debate with Sargon of Akkad, or as I know him, Carl Benjamin. Yeah, so I do have an update on that. I guess it was a week or two ago, I received a Twitter message from TJ Kirk, who also goes by the name Amazing Atheist, asking me if I would be willing to debate Sargon of Akkad. I said I would be willing, but please reach out to me via email so we can set up the logistics. He did reach out via email, and I said I basically just would want to know, number one, what is the time of this, the duration of this debate? Because these days I'm just so busy. I don't want to get into one of these 3-hour debates. And TJ said it doesn't have to be 3 hours. He also suggested a bunch of different topics. And some of the topics aren't really topics I care to debate. Like, for example, Brexit was on the list. I'm not a Brexit expert. I'm not passionate about Brexit. So really I wouldn't be the right guy to debate Carl Benjamin about Brexit. So we're trying to fine-tune topics. And again, it's been several days since I heard from the Amazing Atheist. So that's what's going on. That's the status currently, Aaron. Let's see. Someone commenting that they were number 25 in our Jenga challenge, and they were sure it would fall on their move, but it didn't. It didn't. What else here do we have in the comments and questions? People telling me that the picture is nonsense. Al Franken wasn't touching the woman. People referencing some of Jesse Lee Peterson's phrases, the children of the lie and the dirty woman's march. What else do we have? Is there a link to the original Jesse Lee Peterson video? James Maple asked. I don't have the link. If you go to youtube.com/The David Pakman Show and under search, just type Jesse Lee Peterson, it'll come up. There's only a couple videos that come up when you search for that. People saying you don't have to minimize what Al Franken did in order to demonstrate that it's not as bad as what Roy Moore did. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not minimizing what Al Franken did, but I think that it would be weird to pretend like what Al Franken did is the same thing that Roy Moore is accused of, or what Bill Cosby is accused of, or whatever, right? I mean, it's just not, and plain and simple. Okay, we've got a contribution over at streamlabs.com/The David Pakman Show. $15 contribution from Jason, who says merely, love your show, David. Well, thanks, Jason. I appreciate that. On that note, I haven't updated this for a while. The top donors of all time at streamlabs.com/The David Pakman Show during the live streams, Eric Patterson still holding the top spot with 254 contributions, dollars in contributions. Clarth1234 in second place with just under $113, and a user who goes by the name of Rappelier in third place with $100. And then in terms of the number of contributions, Clarth1234 in first place with 42 contributions, Christina in second place with 41, and then Eric Patterson tied with, I think, one other person, maybe not. No, Eric Patterson in third place with 7 contributions. So a lot of action going on over at Streamlabs. I am getting and let me also let me deal with Vladimir's question here. Vladimir Alexandrov has sent a $3 Streamlabs contribution. David, if you had to interview Sam Harris, what kind of questions would you ask him? What sort of disagreements do you have with his views? Thank you. I am not a scholar of Sam Harris, so I wouldn't be able to concisely tell you where I agree and disagree with Sam Harris, but I think if I were to interview him, I would be very interested in getting sort of some more specific and defined statements from him on some of his views regarding Islam and terrorism. And, I think that there's lots that Sam Harris says that I believe he's right about, which some on the left tend to disagree with. I also think that there is stuff that Sam Harris says that is a little bit off. But I'm not a scholar of all of his work, and if I were to interview him, and I would love to. In fact, I've invited him on the program multiple times, but he's never agreed to come on so far. I would absolutely love to do that, and I would spend a lot of time researching, and really, there's so much that we could talk about, and I would really enjoy doing that. If you want to suggest politely to him on Twitter that he do an interview on the show, I would absolutely love to have him. So that would be, let's try to get that going. People have tried. People have reached out to him, and it has not gone well enough, I guess. He hasn't been on the show. Stephen Anter has sent a $2 Streamlabs contribution. Can you do more economics-related debates with Ben Shapiro? I'm willing. I don't know if Ben Shapiro is interested in being on the program. The last time Ben Shapiro was on the David Pakman show, our show was much smaller, but Ben Shapiro was also much less well-known, and he might be too big for the David Pakman show at this point. Every once in a while, we'll exchange an email, because, of course, all Jews know each other, right? I mean, obviously. But the topic of him being on the program hasn't come up. I'm willing to have him on. I think it would be interesting. I don't know that he's interested. Brian sent a $1 Streamlabs contribution. What's your thought on the stupid little smirk Jeff Sessions had during the Senate hearings this week? I think a lot of people have tweeted me about the Jeff Sessions smirk. He had a hearing yesterday again, or the day before, where he just lied endlessly about Trump-Russia contacts and what he knew and when he knew it. And he did have this smirk. I believe that the smirk is a sort of smirk of complicity, where he knows that he's answering questions in a deliberately either overly specific way to avoid lying or an overly vague way to avoid obvious lying, I guess I would call it, because he did lie, right? I mean, it was still pretty damn obvious. That's what I make of the Jeff Sessions smirk during that. And it wasn't a new thing. In prior hearings, I think it was the same one where Democratic Senator Kamala Harris kind of destroyed Jeff Sessions. He had that same smirk when he was answering questions in this particularly... it's like a combination of smug and coy. I think those are the best adjectives I could use to describe it. My interpretation is he knows he's bullshitting, and he thinks he's being clever using very particular and specific language. But I wouldn't say it's not fooling anybody. It's probably fooling a lot of people, but it didn't fool me. And that's what I attribute it to. Let me do a couple new member thank yous. The Jenga tower fell today on the show, and because we got to 29 Jenga moves before the tower fell, we created a 58% coupon code. You can get a 58% discount off of membership. So where you could type I voted 17 for a 40% discount, you can type Jenga 58 for a 58% discount just through the end of the weekend. And I want to thank Jeff Withy. Jeff Withy has signed up at davidpakman.com/membership during the stream. Rich Bosky, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, or maybe it's Bosch, I'm not sure. Rich, that part I'm clear on. Thank you for signing up at davidpakman.com/membership. Joseph Tucker has signed up at davidpakman.com/membership. Thank you, Joseph. Very much appreciate it. And Brett Osborne has also signed up. And, a lot of new members. Eric Fontanilla, thank you as well for signing up. Very much appreciate everybody who has been signing up. We had our Amazon affiliate link cut off a couple weeks ago. And we had YouTube Adpocalypse. So it's been a tough year. This is our best year. I've said it before. This is our best year by far in terms of audience growth. Crushing it. But because of demonetization on YouTube and the Amazon affiliate debacle, financially it's been a tougher year. So it's great that people are signing up, and you can use the Jenga 58 coupon code through the end of the year, through the end of the weekend. I'm sorry, not through the end of the year. Okay, couple other comments from the regular chat. People saying I should interview Michael Wood Jr. I recently did interview Michael Wood Jr. Someone asking me my thoughts on Jason Kander for 2020. No clue who that is, and it's way too early to talk about 2020 in my mind. Some people still confused about the crazy hair episode. So let me explain that. People are referring to this. People referring to this. So the crazy hair episode was when we started our Patreon fundraiser. I said, if and when we get to 2,000 patrons, I will do an entire broadcast show with my hair uncontrolled, I guess we would call it, without taming it in the way that I typically do with various products and industrial solvents and different things. And we eventually got to 2,000, as you can see. We're actually at closer to 2,100 now, although Patreon is down for maintenance, so I'm not able to pull up the exact number. So I did it. I kept my word and I did it. And this was a particularly weird moment that Pat was able to isolate, and it has become the calling card of the crazy hair episode. And that's that. There's really no more explanation than that. I got the funniest thing happened. So this people might find this interesting. The day I had my hair that way, we recorded our audience questions segment. And in that segment, that particular week, there was a question asking me to weigh in on the Sam Cedar versus, what's the other guy's name? Sam Cedar versus, I'm blanking on the guy who, Jimmy Dore. Sam Cedar versus Jimmy Dore. Where am I on that? And Sam sent me an email, and it just said, I caught... It was something like, I caught the clip about Sam and Jimmy. Are you doing something new with your hair? Mad scientist, maybe? And I had to explain to him, because Sam had no idea about the entire thing that was going on. I had to explain to him, oh no, I was just doing it because of a fundraiser thing. And I think that calmed Sam down a little bit. He was getting a little worried, I think, for my sanity. He thought maybe YouTube demonetization had really gotten to me in some way. Okay, major announcement. I am finally ready to announce to you today that Monday and Tuesday, the Race and IQ investigation is going to be published, okay? Part 1 on the Monday show, part 2 on the Tuesday show, getting us into Thanksgiving in a really strong way. It's about 30 minutes long in total. It'll be 2 15-minute parts. Well, not exactly 2 15-minute parts, but roughly. It'll be a total of about a half hour. Really great work by producer Noah Ferguson on this one. It is a long piece. It was a detailed piece. So I think you're going to like it. We do address historical attempts to link race and IQ. We do talk about the bell curve and the resurgence of the bell curve recently, partially because of that appearance by Charles Murray on the I always get the IQ guy. Is it Charles Murray or something else Murray? I think it's Charles Murray. His appearance on the Sam Harris program created a big stir. We address all of that, okay? Really good piece. My only concern, and I don't have a problem admitting this, my only concern is that because it's a big topic and there's a lot of science required to understand it, I'm a little worried that people are going to tune out because it's a complex thing, right? There's a lot of science to explain. But anyway, that's going to be on Monday and Tuesday. It's going to be great. Really, really great piece. And we've got a lot of other stuff we're working on as well. Jane Woman Power has sent a 10 Canadian dollar super chat. So glad these allegations are coming forth. It is devastating and horrific. I guess she means it is a devastating and horrific situation, but a necessary one. Women in my circles here in NL, Canada, are certainly feeling a revolution for big change. I do think that it's a good thing that we are seeing these allegations come forward, because part of the problem around this topic is the level of stigma that exists for people to go public with what happened to them. And if for no other reason than trying to destigmatize that, I think that this is really good. And by the way, if we can get some sexual harassers out of positions of power, or at least prevent them from getting into positions of power in the first place, I think that that's a good thing, right? Who could possibly be against that, unless there's just so many people in your constituency, whatever constituency that might be, who have these skeletons in their closet. I think that it is good, and I completely agree with you. Completely agree with you, Jane. And you will always hear from people, allegations are not evidence, and we need to see what a court eventually decides. And the statute of limitations has expired on a lot of these things. You're not going to see a court decide or adjudicate many of these circumstances. My instinct is, given the amount of stigma associated with coming out and going public with these allegations, combined with the reality that, particularly if it's been a long time, there's really no benefit to these women to coming forward in these ways. And you could say, well, with Roy Moore, there's a benefit because they might want to prevent him from winning. A lot of those women were Republicans, and it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't pass the sniff test. My instinct is to believe accusers, and even Jeff Sessions. It's crazy that I'm quoting Jeff Sessions. He said it in a more coy way, but he meant it in a more coy way. There's nothing that makes me doubt these accusers. I've not seen anything that would call their believability into doubt, plain and simple. And so I agree with you, Jane. This is a good thing, and I'm curious as to how deep it's all going to go, because I think before it's all said and done, it's going to get much, much worse. Gigantic has sent a $5 Streamlabs contribution, streamlabs.com/The David Pakman Show. Gigantic says, David, have you always been this savage on Twitter? I only just started paying attention to your Twitter feed a month ago, and I love it when you retweet the Hatriots. Yeah, so I'm taking a little bit of a different approach on Twitter. I learned the tactic of retweeting Hatriots from the late, great Alan Colmes. I had the pleasure, and really just an honor, of getting to know Alan Colmes personally when I was living in New York City. He came to my studio. I hung out at Fox News Radio when he was doing his show, and just the nicest guy. And it was really sad to hear of his passing not that long ago. Feels very recent, although I know it's been months, maybe even longer at this point. And he told me that he does this great thing where he just retweets Hatriots, and it just creates drama. And I do like doing that. That I've been doing for a while. The new thing I'm doing is I am being a little bit more aggressive on Twitter, and people seem to be liking it. So one example is, let me just look at a couple of my tweets here. There was one particularly funny one that I thought was actually pretty clever that I came up with. There was some crazy Trumpist. I don't even remember what the guy was doing. Why can't I find this one? It's a really funny tweet. Man, it is just, Twitter is very, very slow tonight. What day was it? November 13th? I don't even know. I tweeted one guy. There's a user named Colin Rugg with 2 L's and 2 G's. And let me pull up his profile. He is a Christian, proud Donald J. Trump supporter, conservative, student, and politically incorrect. And I don't know how I came across him, but I sent him a tweet saying, hey, Colin Rugg, are you this unhinged due to a lack of intelligence or a series of small strokes? And people seem to like that one. People did seem to like that one. I also have been correcting some people on Twitter. I think it's important to be accurate, and I've made this mistake in the past. Roy Moore has not been accused of pedophilia, and I think it's important for us not to use that word when it's not the right word. Pedophilia is a sexual attraction to prepubescent children, and being the 14-year-old that Roy Moore tried to date, or who knows what the hell he was doing. We have no reason to think that she was prepubescent, so therefore it would not be pedophilia, it's child sex assault, right? Because it is someone that is younger than the age of consent. So I think that is important. But anyway, yeah, you can follow, if you want to see all this drama going on Twitter, I'm on Twitter at dpakman. And I think I'm only going to become more belligerent as the Donald Trump administration continues. So that's something to look forward to. Vladimir Alexandrov has sent a $2 Streamlabs contribution. David, some time ago I called in to recommend you to get binoculars instead of getting a telescope, which you wanted to get. Did you end up buying one? Observational astronomy is awesome. I remember you leaving that voicemail, Vladimir. I'm still interested in getting into observational astronomy, and I'd be interested actually in getting into astrophotography. Living in Boston, it's tough because there's just so much light pollution, and I haven't gotten some binoculars yet. I should. I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to see that much in Boston just because of the light pollution. Like when you hear that Mars will be visible, I was able to go onto the roof of my building, and I saw a red dot in the sky. But you really can't see that much here. And but yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested, and I haven't gotten it yet. Eric S. has sent a $5 Canadian super chat. Why do you associate with Kalinske when he clearly misleads and misrepresents most on the right and only debates weak right-wingers? Well, listen, I don't know what you mean by associate with Kyle Kalinske. Like, we're friends, friendly, not we don't hang out. He lives in New York, I'm in Boston. We used to hang out when I was in New York. We text every once in a while. We email every once in a while. It's just as a general thing, you don't have to agree with everything people do in order to have a friendly relationship with them. I'm involved in a possible new venture here in Boston with someone who is a good entrepreneur and is pretty conservative. They didn't vote for Trump, but they're relatively conservative. And actually, several people I'm in touch with in Boston about possible projects. And it's I don't know exactly how to answer the question, but I don't know what kind of association you mean. I'm not involved with the Young Turks anymore, and he's still, I believe, part of that network. And that's that. I don't know what else to say about it. Shane Winter has sent a $5 super chat. I'm a triple threat Patreon membership and super chat. Yeah, triple threat or David Pakman Show All-Star is another term I apply to people who are members, patrons, as well as super chatters. And on that note, I actually should do a couple other new member thank yous. The Jenga tower fell today, so we created the coupon code Jenga58 because 58 is twice the number of Jenga pieces I was able to relocate before the tower fell. Jenga58 gives you a 58% discount off of membership. Santos Gonzalez has just signed up at davidpakman.com/membership, and I really appreciate that. Also, Michael Davis has signed up at davidpakman.com/membership. Normally, members pay $6 a month or $60 for the year, okay? With the 58% discount, you instead pay, now I forgot how much it is. How much is $6 minus 58%? $2.52 a month or $25.20 for the entire year. That is a really, really good deal. It's only good until the end of the weekend. The coupon code is Jenga58. I'm just saying, I would do it. I think this is a great time to become a member. Theo H. sent a $10 super chat. Until today, Al Franken was my hero, but he took responsibility and apologized, didn't run from it. Unless other women come out, people change, right? I am not going to minimize what Al Franken did, but there are many circumstances here that make this far less disturbing than what Roy Moore is accused of, than what Bill Cosby is accused of, Kevin Spacey, et cetera, et cetera. Al Franken, in the picture that was released, is it a comedy picture? Was the woman really asleep or pretending to asleep? Was he really touching her or not? I don't think it matters because Al Franken has admitted that what he did was wrong, that he thought it would be funny and it wasn't. Leanne Tweeden has accepted his apology. And as of now, Theo, there's no indication that this is something Al Franken has any kind of track record of. Doesn't mean once is okay, but it is drastically different than hanging out in a mall trying to pick up 14-year-old girls, right? Which is what Roy Moore is accused of. The D2J Bug has sent a $5 super chat. Now I am going to have to create more Martians because of my my observational astronomy. I'm not sure. But cool. Yeah, Martians are good. JHWH Gadol has sent a €5 super chat. If it was a country like Burundi or Slovenia, I wouldn't care. But as the U.S. is the most powerful nation on earth, I am very concerned by what is going on. Well, I'm concerned too, but I don't know if you mean the sexual assault stuff or if you mean the Trump being president stuff. I'm not exactly sure which one you're referring to, but there's no shortage of really concerning stuff going on in the United States. So yeah, I agree with you, but more clarity might be useful because I'm not exactly sure what you mean. Let's take a look at some of the regular chat here. Good to see what's going on there. Let's see. Pedophilia is a fascination with children, and the way the law stands is that under 16, you are picking straws, David. No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think that this is an important distinction. It's not any better. What Roy Moore is accused of is no better if it's not pedophilia. But if you Google pedophilia, which I did, pedophilia is a psychiatric disorder where an adult or an older adolescent has a primary or exclusive sexual attraction to prepubescent children, okay? If you are attracted to a post-pubescent 14-year-old girl, it would be illegal. It's child sexual assault to pursue that individual. We can make all sorts of different judgments about it, but it is not pedophilia, and we open ourselves up as progressives to criticisms, and I saw a bunch of them. Farron Cousins from Ring of Fire put out a tweet about Roy Moore, and it used the word pedophilia, and he was just getting crushed. And you're gonna get the message will be lost sometimes if we make mistakes like that. So I think it's important. We don't need to call it pedophilia for it to be really bad. That's just the reality. Let's see what other comments we have here. People talking about evidence for who knows what. David, let's see, what else do we have? Viva Hatriot Mail. Hatriot Mail. Yes, people love Hatriot Mail. I love Hatriot Mail as well. People loving the big deals for the new members. That's a great thing. Jenga58 is the coupon code. People glad that I'm being honest. People saying the Young Turks push a white hatred narrative. I don't know about that. I've not noticed that, but I don't really watch anything. I plead you, and I did, David, but I don't know if he did donate money. If you're going to donate money to Mr. Pacman, donate some for the Puerto Rican charities that need your donations. Are you trying to divert? Donations away from us? That's not good. But yes, of course, support worthwhile charities. Absolutely. Let's see. Jack is asking whether I give a discount for disabled people. Yes, it's a 58% discount, and the coupon code is Jenga58, and it's also available to anybody else that wants it. But absolutely big discounts for disabled people. Okay, what's the plan through the end of the year? Next week is Thanksgiving here in the United States, so we will do a regular Monday show with part 1 of the Race and IQ video. We will do a regular Tuesday show with part 2 of the Race and IQ video. We will do a Wednesday show that will be the format of the Friday show. Okay, so instead of audience questions and live calls and a classic interview on the Friday show next week, we're going to do it on the Wednesday show because that's going to be the end of our new shows next week. And then Thursday and Friday, we're going to be off for the Thanksgiving holiday. And then we will be back. Then we will be here sort of the normal schedule that last week of November and early December. And then the last week of the year, basically, we're going to go right up to the December 22nd. And then the Monday after that is Christmas, and we're taking Christmas off, not because I celebrate Christmas, not because of anything other than that it is a federal holiday, and we tend to take federal holidays off. And we're going to take that week off, the last week of the year, as we often do, particularly with the holidays kind of overlapping with 2 consecutive weekends. And then we'll be back on January 2nd. So it's going to be a great wrap up to the year. It's been one of our best years in terms of audience growth. We surpassed 400,000 subscribers on YouTube. We started the Patreon thing, and all of that, all of those things are going really well. It's been a tough year when it comes to YouTube's demonetization. At one point, we were down 99% in terms of our revenue. off of YouTube, and we've started to recover there. So it's been a good year, but also a tough year. People asking when my college lectures are going online. The plan for that's a lot of work to produce those. So when we get to 2,500 Patreon patrons, we are going to record and start uploading my 12 long-form college lectures. I'm teaching a class at Boston College this semester on epistemology, critical thinking, media literacy, etc. And there's about 12 75-minute lectures that I could sort of pull material from and do. And the fundraising goal is 2,500 patrons. Okay, when we get to 2,500 patrons at patreon.com/David Pakman Show, which I think is still down for maintenance today, we will be producing those. Okay, so if you're interested, just make a note to make a contribution on Patreon when those come back up. Gigantic has sent a $5 super Streamlabs contribution. Did you ever end up contacting... Oh, I scrolled past it. Did you end up contacting the authorities regarding that weird Hatriot who would laugh like a maniac at 3 a.m. and make 30 consecutive calls? Ever met a weirdo Hatriot in real life? Never met a Hatriot in real life through the show. I've met lots of conservative lunatics in real life. I'm not going to say what we did with that. I think just in general, it's better not to... It might have even been a mistake to play that voicemail. Let me just put it that way and not say anything else about it. Yesenia Moreno has sent a $1 Streamlabs contribution. How do scientists define Hispanic? How do they get an average IQ score for Hispanics? Do people mean mestizo? Yeah, so Yesenia, you're right on the money when it comes to some of the issues that we're going to be tackling in the race and IQ piece. Part of the issue is that race, you often hear these two sides on race. Race is a social construct, or race is very specific definitions of something biological. And the truth is that race is a biological construct. It is not a social construct in the sense that the perception of race has real impacts in society, but biologically, there aren't particular genes that say this is a black person or this is a Hispanic person. And we talk about this in the Race and IQ video. I won't go through the entire thing now. But the definition of Hispanic is a whole interesting thing that's affected me for a long time because I was born in Argentina, grew up speaking Spanish, moved to the United States. So by many definitions, I am Hispanic. But at the same time, ethnically, my family, I did my DNA test, I'm 97% Ashkenazi Jewish, meaning Eastern European Jewish. Many families before World War II left Europe and came to the United States, Ashkenazi Jewish families. And there's no question that they're considered white in the United States. Ethnically, I'm no different than them, but my family went to Argentina. That's where I was born. I grew up in a Hispanic culture and then moved to the United States. Does that have any bearing on my race? For the purposes of IQ, am I part of the Hispanic IQ average or the white IQ average? Not really clear. It doesn't really matter is the truth. And that's part of why the entire race and IQ thing is pretty bogus. And we're gonna talk about that in detail in the piece next week. Great comment there. Okay, I saw one other one come through here on Streamlabs, or no, I did not. Actually, it's on Super Chat. Jane Woman Power sent a $5 super chat. Sell prints of your big hair, a tagline after your show name. That's interesting. I wonder if we could get an artist to cartoonify or maybe to like Andy Warhol my big hair thing. Probably a higher resolution one than this. That would be interesting. I wonder what a good artist could turn that into. Good idea. We'll look into it. Let me also say thank you to Linda Crombie. Linda Crombie has signed up for membership at davidpakman.com/membership. And because the Jenga tower fell today, you can use the coupon code Jenga58 in the coupon code field and save 58% off of your membership. Very, very exciting stuff. That's it for today's live stream. I've got to go to bed.